Hello, welcome to the Pop Off PC Mag's video game show. I'm Jordan Miner. It's summer, it's June. This is normally when E3 would be happening, but because of all sorts of reasons, there was no E3 this year. But that did not stop Xbox, Microsoft, Bethesda, this growing conglomerate of gaming companies, from having their own showcase. And we're going to talk about it. So joining me are Matt Buzzy.
Hello.
And Gabe Zamora.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, so the Xbox. What was curious about this conference to me is that they got ahead and they said this will feature the most gameplay that they've ever had in one of their showcases, which is a very funny and tragic
Great turn of phrase, yeah.
thing to say about your video game showcase. And as such, they said they limited it to games that are coming within the next 12 months. So if you subscribe to Gamepass right now, these are the games that you get before you have to re-up again. So that was kind of interesting, so a lot of things we're going to talk about are games that are relatively like very real and you're able to play them pretty soon. So what should we start off with? We start with the biggest game or work our way up to that like they did? Where are you guys feeling?
I think we should start with the biggest because I feel like, without being too overly negative, I was a little underwhelmed by the show overall. So I think we should start with the biggest first because that's probably what we have the most positive things to say about.
Gotcha. So Buzzy, what are your thoughts on Hollow Knight Silksong?
The biggest game of all. Yeah, I think first, I do think it was a little better, or at least more stuff I personally would play than the day one of the the Summer Games Jeff Keighley reveal, that sort of slate of games. Didn't really do it for me. There was more stuff in this that looked good. The biggest game I think that we were alluding to, talking around, is Starfield from Bethesda. That was sort of the thing they say for last, our first true extended look at the gameplay. And it looks maybe good. It looks really good in some ways and less good in the classic Bethesda ways, right? I'm not sure the gameplay looked any improved all these years later. It's a shooter, much like Fallout 4. It didn't look mechanically maybe any more satisfying. You would kind of hope they got their up their game a little bit in that regard over this amount of time. But really, you come to the Bethesda stuff for the writing and the role playing and the character creation and all that stuff. And that definitely looks like it's there. It was a lot more No Man's Sky than we probably thought it would be. It's like 1,000 planets, and it's not nearly as many as No Man's Sky, but 1,000 planets and all this generated stuff in addition to all this like curated stuff, and you can kind of be any character you want, and you can customize your ship, which looked really cool. Looked a little janky in some ways and a little clunky in others, but I think the stuff that people come for. It was definitely like a Fallout 4 in space mixed with some No Man's Sky mechanics. So I'm definitely keeping an eye out, and I'm be optimistic about how it plays.
What about you, Gabe? You got some takes brewing.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say the game I was referring to was Minecraft Legends. You guys aren't telling me you guys aren't excited for that?
I don't know. I thought Overlord was pretty good. You were talking about strategy
like
games.
You said,
guy.
Hollow Knight also looked pretty good. But no, I mean, the thing is, I got the strongest vibes I got from that was of No Man's Sky, which I guess is a good thing because No Man's Sky has really improved radically over the past 4 years since its launch. And it's definitely 6 years. 6 years? It's been a while, yeah.
Goodness.
So they've really kind of gone ahead and really improved it, but like I'm not sure if that's what I was expecting from this game from Bethesda. So I was kind of a little disappointed to hear that too, or to see it rather, that it was just like, it looks like it's like a game that I can already play.
30 seconds in, he's like mining iron off the wall. Yeah. Also, not for nothing, but No Man's Sky has so many cool colors and visual effects, and that game is it looks like Fallout. There's a kind of a grayish.
Yeah.
Everything's very functional and made of scrappy looking metal. Like, it's just not this like colorful sci-fi adventure that No Man's Sky looks like.
It's trying to kind of split the difference to me of like, this is like in between, say, like today's NASA and then like eventually Mass Effect or something. Mm-hmm. But like we have to like expand our brains to more colors still. Yeah, I don't know. It's exciting to me to see Todd Howard come back because his team, like that, like main Bethesda team, hasn't put out like a major game since Fallout 4, like 7 years ago. All we've had are stuff like Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online expansions. So it's cool to see them come back. I really like Skyrim, despite being someone who doesn't like fantasy. So my dream this whole time has been for like that game, but with like a different kind of aesthetic. And Fallout 4 didn't do it for me at all for that. So and I also kind of like the Outer Worlds. Get it right.
It reminded me a lot of that, which I don't know if it was all good because that game was a little generic too. But I did get that sort of vibe.
I mean, it's kind of like that was kind of a reverse engineered Bethesda game anyway, because Obsidian, they did New Vegas, so the idea of it's all one big loop. So I don't know. Maybe I was a little bit more positive than some of y'all, just in that they spent so long in this game too. I mean, recently we're gonna talk about it. It got delayed in 2023. Like this is like of all the time for them to like, all right, we're gonna actually polish it up. There's no rush this time. We got our new set of consoles. We don't need to worry about the PlayStation where we've historically been kind of trash.
You would think that, but how long was Cyberpunk in development?
It's true. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely, there's a point where that becomes a bad thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Again, maybe I was just excited to see that's actually a game.
I'm excited. I don't want to undersell it. I think the stuff that Bethesda does really well is probably still going to be there. The characters, the writing, the conversations, the choices, all that. So I love a good skill tree. I love a good dialogue option. So I'm sure that's all in there.
I love a good skill tree that like rewards you for doing the thing that you're already doing. That just it just kind of augments your kind of natural play style as opposed to like trying to push you into do things you don't want to do. That's maybe, I feel like that's also just better for role playing, you know, like when you set out to like create a character, it's like, all right, I want to play in this type of way. So I want the systems to encourage that, which I thought that Skyrim did pretty well. But you know, again, anything could happen.
Anything could happen. Characters still not voiced, which they were in 4, I guess, because you're less bespoke this time around. You're silent again, which can be weird in 2022 to play a game where you just stare back at someone who's like trying to get a response out of you. So we'll see. We'll see how that
I do that all the time.
Yeah,
all the time these days. I think part of the reason though there's so much, you know, I'm trying to be pretty optimistic about this game because, you know, I have an Xbox. That's what they got. That's like their big game for the next year, as we saw at the showcase. So like, what's the next thing we're going to talk about here besides Starfield? Like, what is the next like prominent game we should talk about? And that kind of, you know, that illustrates this dilemma that they're having.
Yeah, well, we joked about Silksong, but that is actually very exciting. Hollow Knight's great, and that game still didn't get a release date, but we did finally hear about it for the first time in ever, and it's listed among, I think, these coming in 12 months on Game Pass batch because everything they showed was. So in theory, you know, within a year we'll see that game. But it's been a while, but I am excited for that one. Hollow Knight is great.
What about you, Gabe? What's like the kind of next, like what's their other big thing?
Honestly, I was most impressed by the Persona games coming out on the Xbox. That was really the one thing that kind of caught my eye. Obviously, I was paying attention when they mentioned, you know, some of the other games, especially, you know, Bethesda and all that. But it was really just having the Persona RPGs on Xbox that really kind of was like, oh, okay, we can finally get some more RPGs, kind of like that push that they had during the 360 for all these crazy RPGs.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm hoping that this is maybe like the start of that, since they've been snatching up everybody lately anyways. It's like, well, put some RPGs on there, maybe make it a little more appealing to people who want to play these games. I myself am not the biggest fan of this, but I've been itching to play Persona 5. I actually haven't. So, I bought it, but I never really played it. So it gives me an excuse now, since I have Game Pass. Well, I may as well, when I'm sitting on the couch in my living room, give it a try.
Yeah, you bring up their kind of past RPG partnerships. Yeah, they really went hard on, even for the Series X with Yakuza, Like a Dragon.
Yep.
So yeah, it's kind of in that vein. I guess on that vein too, speaking of them doing these kind of unexpected Japanese partnerships, we got 2. Let's start with what's it called? The one from Team Ninja. I can look it up.
Oh, Wulong, I think.
Okay, that sounds right.
Let me double check. I could be totally wrong and butchering that horrifically. Wulong, yes.
Wulong, Fallen Dynasty. So yeah, we were talking about this morning, you and I, Gabe. So that looks like another Neo game.
It looks to be very much in the same vein as Neo, which I'm fine with because I think Neo has a really good formula. I think the biggest flaw with Neo is that their maps aren't all that great compared to a game like, say, Dark Souls or Sekiro or something like that. Like, I think the maps are a little boring, but the combat, which is what you're really playing anyway, is pretty much top tier. I think of all of these like Soul style games and their ilk, Neo probably has the best combat. I mean, you could probably argue with me about that, but you're not going to change my mind.
That's not the argument I'm going to have with you when it comes to Souls games. It's
Right,
which one has
certainly
the best combat. So
yeah, as far as, I mean, we didn't get a whole glimpse of the actual mechanics, but visually, I thought it was going to be like the Neo 3 at first because of how it looked. And then you see Lubu at the end, then you're like, oh, is this like a Dynasty Warriors game? What is this? And then Wulong. So I'm guessing it's some kind of action
it's all
RPG.
part of this. It's all part of the same universe of just actual history.
What game came out recently that everyone was like, oh, this is just like Neo in the past like 6 months?
It was Stranger of Paradise.
Yes.
Because that was basically Neo.
Because that was Team Ninja.
It was Team
It was
Ninja.
I remember everybody being like, you play Neo, it's like that. So.
Yeah, they've recycled the mechanics from that game and just kind of transferred it over to Final Fantasy. They had some really good looking new models for the enemies in that game, but mechanically it's really similar to Neo. And I think the story was a little batty, so some people didn't quite like it. I think our own review was kind of scathing on that.
Speaking of kind of unexpected Japanese partnerships, the other thing they announced, and this is really just an announcement with nothing else, there's no gameplay, nothing, is that Kojima is doing an Xbox game. Hideo Kojima, famous of Metal Gear and just the PlayStation platform in general, is branching out. So,
a game that he, quote, always wanted to make, but gave us absolutely no details beyond that. So,
yep, he always planned to get fired and then put out something else. So get your petitions ready. But that's cool. Kojima is a great designer. You know, I love all the Metal Gear games basically. I've not played too much of Death Stranding, but I've enjoyed what I've played. I'm Buzzy. You like Death Stranding?
Yeah, that's at the very least, an interesting game, which is kind of what you get out of Kojima. Something unique and interesting is almost certainly coming your way, even if you don't love playing it or don't like the theme or whatever it is. But yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on.
So it's cool that this is like he has like a new era for him. It wasn't just like now he's in decline. He kind of had his one thing independent and that was it. But like no, he's back.
Yep.
He's making games for Phil Spencer. But that was really it. There was no other information. And that just got me thinking of like, yeah, like there's now like a lot of these Xbox projects that are just sort of like nebulous. Even at the show, there was a lot of stuff that was like, it's coming in 2023. Even, you know, we can assume it's first half 2023 if they're going to stick to their promise. But what else? I mean, what's the next game?
I was just saying, in the vein of announcing existing games, kind of releasing on this, the deal the deal with Riot to bring all of their like existing but also already free games to Game Pass. But unlock all the characters and everything, either in League or Valorant, is interesting. At least the stuff, it just makes it playable in one place, which has kind of its own appeal. That's just another interesting deal that took up some time during this.
I mean, we talk about Persona. We could talk about like they announced stuff that's coming to existing games, which is cool. They announced Sea of Thieves is getting. I did not know you could not already do this, but you can like customize, like be a captain of your ship and name it what you want to name it.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that either. That was news to me. They made a whole song and a jig and everything, and I was like, oh, this is really catchy. I didn't know that wasn't already in there. That's nice. Maybe I'll play it.
Ask the 30 million people already playing it.
Yeah.
They're adding
Elder Scrolls Online stuff, the flight sim stuff, including a Halo collab.
How'd you feel about that? As someone who likes both of those things,
that's just kind of funny. Like, sure, put the Pelican in flight sim. Why not?
They announced Hot Wheels DLC for Forza Horizon 5, which to me was the more exciting announcement, considering they also announced another serious Forza game I cannot care less about, because who cares about real cars? I'm the only one who feels that way.
No, I echo that sentiment. I think that having those bright red tracks over a volcano was more interesting than their Forza. I mean, look, I like realistic looking visuals and cars and such, but I don't like playing them.
Yeah, even Forza in particular, I'd rather play Horizon. So.
Horizon all day. I'll play that. I'll just drive around goofing around. But you give me a serious racer and I'm genuinely bored. I don't want anything to do with that. Same. So yeah, those Hot Wheel tracks. And now that I think on it, didn't they have like a Hot Wheels game, like a kart racer that came out a few months ago?
Yeah, that was like
also pretty good.
It was pretty good. I heard kind of people want it to be good, but I don't know if it ended up actually being good or not.
At the very least, then it was decent. So we'll say that.
Oh, and
Awesome.
also they had that Lego DLC for Horizon 4. That was pretty sick.
Hmm.
Yep.
What else? I mean, Gabe, you kind of said this was a joke,
Let's
but
hit some other big ones. Diablo 4, we saw the first of.
I was gonna say Diablo 4, and I was a little turned off when they seemed to imply that the game gets PvP now. I'm not a big Diablo head myself, but maybe I'm wrong, and maybe any Diablo fan listening later on can correct me here. But I thought the appeal was to co-op and play and
It is.
raid.
It sounded like there's PvP zones, which like separate dedicated PvP, probably optional.
I'm hoping that's what it is, because it sounded from what they were describing as is that if you get too much good loot or something to that
You get
effect,
like labeled
you
the
kind of get
champion or whatever.
flagged for
Yeah,
PvP, and then people will jump you for it. I can tell you right off the top of my head that in like any MMO, that's a bad idea. And I would suspect it's going to be a bad idea with Diablo 2.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was a universal always active function or if that was part of this sort of PvP zone thing they were talking about.
I hope they clarify it, because that to me sounds like a bad idea.
if it's like Diablo Immortal, which I recently reviewed, it's probably going to be kind of segregated into this kind of post game, kind of just separate from your kind of normal campaign stuff. I would guess.
I hope.
Yeah, not a Diablo head, but people who love it. So I know it's always conflicting takes, and some of them are disappointing.
I mean, isn't Destiny's PvP like a totally separate
yeah, for the most part. It's like, now I'm going to join in and do matchmaking and play like death matches. That's its like own mode. So
it's very funny to me that Microsoft is already acting like they own Blizzard, because we've got this new look at Diablo and Overwatch 2 coming in early access free October 4th or something like that. So we gotta have a look at that. Buzzy, you were saying that new character just looks like an Apex Legends character.
looks exactly like Mad Maggie from Apex. Apex, vice versa. A lot of games have taken a lot of, that's just X character from Overwatch, but like between the voice and the stylization of her, really was nailed on. I don't know anyone who's too excited for that game, even like hardcore original Overwatch fans. I just think it looks very underwhelming.
I was gonna say, I don't hate Overwatch 1, but the one thing about this new one that sounded interesting to me was his PvE stuff, and that's not going to be at this launch, so neither am I. So that's coming out, so fire up fanfiction.net.
Yep.
Gabe, you mentioned earlier Minecraft Legends, new Minecraft game. That looks interesting. I liked what was it called? Minecraft Dungeons. They're a little kind of casual Diablo clone.
Right.
So if it's like that could be a pretty good like kids game, I think.
Yeah, I was joking in part. I mean, it does look like, I think I saw some of the comments were talking about like Zelda meets Minecraft, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's fine. It's acceptable. I know people rag on Minecraft all the time, but it's like, it's popular for a reason. And I can see them going, oh, well, let's just add a little bit of, spice from a different genre in here and see where it goes. Like you said, Dungeons was pretty decent. I know some people don't like it, but it was what it was. And I think Legends is going to be more of the same. So if you want a different take on Minecraft, why not give it a shot? It didn't look bad. It just may not be to everyone's taste.
It's not a tentpole game. It's not.
Yeah.
It's something. It's like, it's on Game Pass. I'll probably play this.
Yeah, I'll play it for a bit. Why not?
Redfall.
I was about to say we saw more of Redfall, which
They opened with Redfall. Now that I think of it, that was the first thing they showed, and I snoozed through the whole.
Yeah, it took me a minute to remember that that's what that was and that we've seen it before as they started showing it. It looks to me. My initial impression was that game's like 5 years, 10 years behind like what the trend should be, and even like visually and sort of the tone. It's very quippy. The dialogue really wasn't doing it for me. She was narrating a lot. It wasn't that funny, but it was felt like it was meant to be. Yeah, it just felt a little outdated. I don't know. Maybe it plays really well or it's really interesting, but
I kind of echo that. Is that it felt a little out of touch. Like you said, it felt like it was a game stuck like a decade in the past. I also this is a little pet peeve of mine. I really, really dislike chatterbox protagonists. I find that to be really grating when they're constantly talking and chattering about stuff, especially when it's like they're trying to be funny and it's not, and the joke falls flat, and you're just stuck hearing it. I don't even have an option to like shut them up. It's just like, hey, hear the next joke, like you're listening to Bubsy or some nonsense, and it's like, why am I getting this in my shooter?
Yeah.
How about just give me like it would have, and the tone of that trailer was horrible too, because it seemed like a horror, but she's constantly joking and quipping, and then you're like, well, is this
Yeah.
a horror? And then all of a sudden she just won't stop talking, and then everybody won't stop talking, and you're like, well, what is this? And you're like, oh, it's this silly vampire game that looks like, I don't know, like just came out of the wrong year.
It also feels a little weird that they are doing another kind of like grindhouse-ish, kind of stylish shooter so soon after Deathloop. I know that they're, I mean, this is a multiplayer thing, and
Yeah.
Deathloop was about, itself, but I don't know. Some those games kind of feel the same in my brain in a way that I feel like I'd also probably just rather play Deathloop.
Yeah, a little bit. I can't tell how much like its other games is going to be. I guess it's kind of a sandbox thing, but it's also co-op. Yeah, Left 4 Dead. Like I don't know. It's just a weird kind of mix, and it's not selling me. Maybe it's super fun to play, or it's deeper than it looks, but on the surface, yeah, I agree. It's the tone is weird.
It also got delayed along with Starfield, so that is also, I think that's supposed to be coming out before Starfield still, but both of those are 2023.
Yep.
So what do they got for 2022? That's the big question, really, for everyone.
Yeah, there was a bunch of indies, but the more I'm glancing over this here, most of the ones I thought were cool were also 2023. Dusk Falls is early 2022. A lot of the expansions for existing games is 2022.
Yeah, that Grounded game, that Bugs Life game.
I thought that game had already come out
in early access. It did.
Oh, that's why I was thoroughly confused seeing that they announced it. I'm like, wait, they've announced this before. What is this?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Lightyear Frontier looked maybe kind of neat. I couldn't really tell exactly what game it was.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like the mech farming. Like you're like farming and you're in a mech.
Callisto Protocol for the Dead Space fans is supposed to be
multi-plat, but it looks great.
I mean, we kind of got into that. If you're not on Twitter, if you didn't listen to our Twitter Spaces conversation about Summer Games Fest, we had
definitely
a whole conversation about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's coming out on everything, as is that Dead Space remake, which is on the graphic. So yeah, I guess kind of let's just open it up to just kind of general thoughts on the show itself. The pandemic has just ruined the scene. Yeah. It's ruining the world still in ways that people aren't even going to admit.
Game Pass is making these really interesting to watch too. And I think Game Pass is great mostly for consumers, but it is making it interesting to watch these shows where, and in general to buy games where you're just like, well, that's probably going to make its way to me eventually. I'm not going to have to worry about if I really think it's worth, I'm going to try that game out or I'm not going to try that game. Like if you're just showing me a bunch of interesting stuff, I was like, if I hear that's good and it's sitting in Game Pass, yeah, I'll fire it up. Cool, that looks neat. Including a bunch of indies or free content for existing games. It just kind of makes these shows interesting to watch because it changes the lens of how these always used to be of like, oh, that's my next thing I'm going to buy, or like that game looks really up my alley. It's just kind of like, yeah, give me stuff that looks cool. Maybe I'll check some out. Maybe I won't. But it is interesting. I did think a lot of the indies sort of looked better than most of the big titles. There was a couple. Erebon, Shadow Legacy, never heard of that. I think that was a new reveal, but that game looked pretty cool. Cocoon from the Limbo guy.
Oh yeah.
What's that Obsidian, like that kind of woodcut looking murder pertinent or pentinent or something?
Yeah, something like that. Pentiment.
Pentiment, yes.
Yep. Okay. Pertinent is a different game.
That's Space remake. The Last Case of Benedict Fox looked all right. Some of that stuff looked more interesting to me. And again, if that's the sort of thing that just appears on Game Pass, I'm more likely to give it a try. Replaced, which recently got delayed, which visually still looks very cool. So there was in total volume, there was a decent amount of interesting looking stuff at this show, but some of the bigger titles weren't like the biggest sells to me.
Yeah, and like I read, people should very much try to expand their horizons as to what kind of games they play. But like those big games, like drive excitement and get people onto the platform where they can then experience the rest of the ecosystem. So like when you're missing like those lead titles, then it's like that ecosystem itself is just going to feel kind of, not by no fault of its own, is going to end up feeling a little flat, I think.
Yep.
Gabe, what about you?
No, I agree with that. It's just I think I'm the most negative of the three of us here. I was fairly underwhelmed. I feel like what we said about Redfall kind of applies to the whole presentation, in my opinion. I feel like the whole thing just feels kind of out of date. Like there wasn't anything that really caught my eye outside of a handful of games. Like I'm not really excited to play anything, and maybe I'm just getting old. Like I thought Scorn, that gross kind of like meat game where you're playing like a meat man with a weird Giger gun, that looked cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Persona, if I want to play the RPGs, yeah, that's coming out. That's nice. Flight Sim, I've been meaning to play Flight Sim for ages, so maybe I'll play in the Goofy Pelican for a while. That sounds all right too. Um, Again, captain my own ship, Sea of Thieves. That sounds nice. I've been wanting to play Naraka, and that's coming to Game Pass, which is that action game with it's like a 60 player multiplayer.
It's like a
A
melee
battle
battle
royale.
royale.
Yeah, like a battle royale. And I'm like, look, I mean, why not? Like, I was a huge fan of Anarchy Reigns, and I've been itching for a game that plays like that. Maybe I'll try that. Like Matt was saying about like giving Game Pass a try. It's on Game Pass. Give it a try. Worst case scenario, you don't like it, you don't have to buy it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do that. But it's just nothing really struck me as like, oh, I gotta play this. Like, yeah, like Resident Evil 4, but that's multi-platform. That's really not really exclusive. Callisto Protocol, multi-platform. It's not really exclusive. Like what Xbox must-buy game? Like Forza, maybe, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't
for
know.
me,
Yes,
for me, it's really more like, oh well, I do subscribe to Game Pass, and I personally, I have a gaming PC as my main platform. I have a PS5. I have a Switch. I got an Xbox Series S as the last thing I added to my repertoire. And I got the S because again I have the PC. That's really just a way to play these games on the couch.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of is right now Xbox's best selling point. It's like, well, I already have a way to play that game without purchasing that game because I have Game Pass. So it's almost
Right.
like, yeah, Xbox is becoming just synonymous with like, oh cool, it's available on Game Pass. I already paid for that. Rather than like the 4 games a year that I'm really hyped for at most. Like, okay, yeah, it's the only thing that is Halo. It's the only thing that has, whatever other, Forza Horizon, whatever other franchise you want. But yeah, it's really more like, well, I guess I'll just play that on Game Pass because I have access to it already.
Yeah, I suppose so. And I do want to add that, as cynical as I am about Xbox's show, I'm also not the biggest Sony fan either. I have nothing I want to play on that either. I've just kind of been coasting on PC for now. So yeah, this is more like a glorified Game Pass show, which I guess I'm fine with because I do pay for Game Pass. So, I mean, I got something to play, right? Can't
That's all
complain too
Microsoft
much.
wants to hear.
Yeah, and again, like the thing I walked away from this thinking, like they do have big things in development. They're just not coming
Mhm.
anytime soon.
Yeah.
Avowed, Fable, Everwild, Hellblade, that Indiana Jones game, Perfect Dark, now this Kojima game. They bought all those studios. They're in the middle of buying another one.
Yeah.
They are going to have things,
Yep.
but it's just we're going to have to wait. And in the meantime, we're going to have to just be happy with Game Pass. I mean, people talk about it as like the Netflix of games, and I think kind of the flip side of that is that a lot of stuff on Netflix isn't necessarily exciting or
Yeah.
hype driven. It's just it's there, and you watch it because it's there, and that's nice in its own way. But
yeah, I have found a fair number of things to spend my time with, or realize was on Game Pass. One or the other that I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll try that. That it fills a lot of my gaming time, and stuff that I was only semi-interested in is there. And so it definitely is still good. And if more of this stuff, which maybe we didn't love any individual title like super, super much, but in volume, there's like a lot of stuff that you'd probably put a good few hours into each. So there's stuff to play for sure.
Yeah. So that's Xbox. Maybe this time next year when there's an actual E3 again, we'll have some other things to say. But in the meantime, that's what you got to look forward to for the next year. So check it out or wait. Buzzy, Gabe, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. Take care.
And we'll talk to you next time.